Okay, first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High God Yahweh. Do so by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Right, this lesson that we're going into, I feel, is very much needed for everybody to understand in this walk, and not just being in the camp, not just if you're not in the camp, whatever. As a listener on here, that's somebody that's not a part of the refiners, right? Something that they can apply to their own life to better themselves and to better the people around themselves, right? So this is I'm gonna start with this, right? It's Second Peter 1:10, right? It says, "Wherefore the rather, brethren, give diligence to make your calling and election sure, for if you do these things, ye shall never fall." Right? When you go into the word for diligence, it means to be sharp, right? You're on point with everything. And that's the thing, you gotta in this walk to make sure that you yourself are checking yourself that you are on point with everything. Because if you're not, everybody else around you, everything that you're trying to build around you is gonna fall. Right? So this is Luke 10:25. Right? It says, "And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him," right? This person is tempting Christ, saying, "Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life?" He said unto him, "What is written in the law? How readest thou?" And he answered, saying, and he answering said, Salakia, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength." Right? So when you go into the word for strength here, right? It's Strong's G2479. It says, eat, eats, sees, right? So it says ability, force, strength, and might. So you're going to love the Most High God with all your strength, with all your ability, with all your might, right? It says, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. And he said unto him, "Thou hast answered right. This do, and thou shalt live." Right. So it says, love the Lord with all your strength, with the best of your ability. Right. And this is an example, right, where we are called to wake up our people. And if you're being lazy, if you're being half stepping, if you're being slothful, lukewarm, right, hoping somebody else does it for you, hoping someone else carries the weight for you, then it's not to the best of your ability, right? If you're not trying to the best of your ability, right? A foot isn't as useful if he doesn't have his toes. A leg isn't as helpful if he doesn't have a foot. Every part is needed in this body, right? Because that's where what we are, a body, right? I'm gonna give an example with one of the brothers, right? When we were talking about tabernacles, right? He's saying, okay, well, I got this, I got that. Well, I don't have this, and you know what? I don't see any way of making it, right? We're a body. If you don't do it to the best of your ability and exercise and exhaust every option that you have, it's not to the best of your ability. One of the brothers in here could have something that you need, but because you are choosing not to do things to the best of your ability, you're being slothful, right? You're being lazy. It's going to be something that brings you down ultimately, right? And that includes pushing this word. Okay, so, okay, cool. You went out, you taught, you reached people, cool, right? Now, what do you do with that, right? Of course, you could reach that one person you were having the conversation with, right? But now you can use that recording, make videos out of it, push it to reach more people, right? And I like that now we're doing pretty good on YouTube, but even then, these Instagram posts, these reels that we're using, we gotta utilize those. The TikTok videos, those are doing kind of crazy. This Threads app, right? Everybody has people that they can reach to plant seeds based on other brothers' work, not just your own work, other brothers' work, right? And this is gonna kind of be a key point on what I'm going into this whole lesson. You're helping brothers reach other people on stuff that something you're not doing, right? Because not only does it say you love the Most High God, it says you love your neighbor as yourself. So the same way you want to look out for yourself is the same way that you should look out for your brother, right? And comparing it to like a car or a machine or whatever, I think it's a lot more beneficial to use a car. Like, okay, so we are this car, we are this body, right? If you have no gas, instead of your car just running out of gas, there's a light that tells you you're gonna run out of gas. If you don't have that light, if you don't have that other brother telling you, "Hey, look, bro, we might be lacking right here," that car is gonna mess up, and nobody gave you a heads up with it, right? Anything happens with the engine, boom, a check engine light. Okay, the radiator's tripping. Here's a radiator light for it. You have low water, right? Everybody is useful for something, but if you're not being helpful, if you're not doing things to the best of your ability, that thing you're trying to build, that car you're trying to use, when it messes up, you could have been something that helped it not mess up, right? So this is Matthew 25:14. It says, "For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability." Right? That word right there in the Greek for the several ability. Here, let me turn this down, right? So that word for the several ability is Strong's G 1410. It says dynamai. It says to be able to have power, whether by virtue of one's own ability and resources, or a state of mind, or through favorable circumstances, right? To be able to, right? So it says, to every man according to his several ability, according to what he can do, right? That's the root word for that. And straightway took his journey. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same and made them other 5 talents, right? So this man flipped those 5 talents into 5 more talents. And likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. After a long time, the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoned with them. So he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained besides them 5 talents more. So now he's showing them what he flipped. He's saying, look, I got 5 more from what you gave me. His Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Right? So it's not because he was able to handle the load. It's not because, look, he did anything crazy. Christ knew what he could handle, right? That's why he gave him 5 in the beginning, right? It says according to what they can handle. One said, look, I know you're able to do 5, here's 5. You're able to do 2, here's 2. 1, here's 1, right? So he knew these people were able to do these things, right? So that's why he gave it to him. It's because he did it to the best of his ability and put all his effort in, that he was able to get those other 5, right? And I'm gonna give another example, right? Like the brother in here, Lawaz, right? I told him, I'm like, look, all of us are able to um to produce fruits. We should be able to produce fruits. Everybody should have everybody should be able to show what we're able to do, what the Most High is entrusting you with, the talents that the Most High is entrusting you with. So he's gonna give you stuff that you can show your fruit in, right? The brother's in a place where he literally has people who he can go to and say, look, this is the word right here, and they're willing to listen because they're in a state of mind, they're in a position in their life where they need something greater. So if this brother, I told him, you basically have your own lake at your disposal, brother, that you can go fish at. And if you're not making use of that, then of tying it back to the same principle of the whole thing, it's not to your best of your ability, and you're just going to be lazy. You have to take the initiative to get these fruit, because the Most High literally is giving you a place to fish from, to bring these fish, to get this water, to get better water from where they were at, right? So back to it, Matthew 25:22. And also that had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents beside them. So even though this man did less than 5, he knew he could only flip 2, and he did what he was entrusted to, right? Verse 23, his Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawn. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. I did nothing with what you told me to do, right? Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knowest that I reap where I sow not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received my own with usury. Take therefore the talent from him, right? Take this thing that was given to this one person to do, this one little thing, right? And give it to him which hath 10 talents, right? Give it to that person who did the most from this, right? For unto everyone that hath shall be given. Everybody who's able to produce something shall be given something. And he that hath abundance, and Salakia, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. When you go into that word unprofitable there, it literally says in the Greek, worthless, right? You're a worthless servant. You did nothing. What were you here to do, right? A lazy servant, a slothful servant, and a sluggard, right? So this is Proverbs 20:4 now. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold, right? One more time. The sluggard will not plow by reason of the cold, right? The lazy person won't work because of the cold, because he has 101 excuses of what's holding him back. Oh, it's too hot, it's too windy, it's too this, too that. I just got off work. Look, man, I'm tired. You don't know what I'm going through, right? The rest of that verse says, therefore shall he beg in harvest and have nothing. So when that time comes for the harvest, when Christ comes back to check on his talent that he left every single one of us with, right? Whether it be 5, 2, 1, whatever, when the time comes of showing what fruits you have gathered, and you have nothing in that day because you decided, look, it's too hot. I can't do it. I got all this going on, right? Matthew 7:19. Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire, whereby by their fruits you shall know them, right? By what they produce, you shall know who is doing what, who is, and this is something so powerful to me. Like the brother that I was talking to earlier on IG. He's like, look, man, I've been doing this work for years and it's just been me by myself. Look, brother, if you don't take that time to examine yourself, there is a reason why you're still by yourself. You're doing something wrong, right? And I simply told him you're not doing things to the best of your ability, right? He could take that however he wants. Only he knows what he's messing up on and what he's lacking in, and he should put that foot forward so you can get more fruits, right? Because if you're constantly in the field and you're constantly just looking at it like, what am I doing? And it's not producing nothing, there's something you're lacking. Either the dirt isn't good, the water you're giving is not good, you're not getting no sun, something, right? So 2 Corinthians 13:5, right? It says, examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith, prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves, how that Jesus Christ is in you, except ye be reprobates, right? When you go to that word prove, is Strong's G1381. It says dokimaso, right? It says to test, examine, to prove, to scrutinize, right? To see whether a thing is genuine or not, as metals, right? So it says to recognize as genuine after examination, to deem worthy, right? It says as metals, to refine yourselves, right? Only you know what you're putting forth, if that truly is to the best of your ability, right? This is Proverbs 24:30. I went by the field of the slothful, right? I went by the field of the lazy person, and by the vineyard of a man void of understanding, right? And I'm more than sure none of us are void of understanding. We all have this wisdom, right? But it's how you apply that knowledge, or rather how you don't apply it, that makes you that slothful person. So he went to read it one more time. I went by the field of the slothful, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. It doesn't make a difference which one it is, if it's slothful or void of understanding. It's the same thing in this case. And lo, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles had covered the face thereof, and the stone wall thereof was broken down. Then I saw and considered it well. I looked upon it and received instruction. This is what he understood from it, right? Verse 33, it says, yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, right? So as soon as you start being lazy, as soon as you start being idle, so shall thy poverty come as one that traveleth, and thy want as an armed man. So poverty is going to jump you just as a thief, right? And you're going to be like, how did I even get to this position? How did I get poor, right? Remember, we're not talking about money. We're talking about the uses of the talents that Christ gave us, right? So think back to Matthew 25:29. For unto everyone that has shall be given. So if that field is giving, if that field is producing, right, he shall have abundance. For from him that hath not, that field that is covered with nothing but weeds, right? It says, but from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath, right? So everything that you worked for, everything that you thought you worked for, if you're not producing anything, means nothing in the end of the day, right? I seen this brother post one thing that said, you think that you going out there on the streets and just yelling at people for hours is going to do anything for you. It's not, right? It's what you're doing with what you're going out to do. It's not just about us yelling at people. That's not going to do anything for any single one of us, right? It's about producing fruits. It's about planting seeds or watering something that somebody has already planted, Lord willing, right? And ultimately, we're entrusted with pushing this word to wake up our people, right? But in hopes of not just anybody, and of course, we're trying to wake up all of Israel because we don't know who we're talking to. It's in the hopes of waking up the elect, right? That's all that what all of this is for. It's waking up the elect, waking up the 144,000, right? So 2 Timothy 2:8, remember that Jesus Christ of the seed of David was raised from the dead according to my gospel, wherein I suffered trouble as an evildoer, even unto bonds, but the word of God is not bound. So because of what we preach, we will suffer. We will be ridiculed. We will have haters, right? That's not nothing new. Therefore, I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Christ Jesus with eternal glory, right? Revelation 7 says prophecy won't kick off until the elect are sealed, and that's what we're all doing this for, right? And also, it's not something that you should be ashamed about. I feel that once you get over that thought of, oh, I don't, what does he think about me? What's my family think about me? Right? If you're scared to preach this message, it's not for you, right? It doesn't mean to go be out there by yourself, right? There's many different avenues to go by, like how we talked about, right? The internet, whatever it may be. It's saying, if you're scared to water that field to produce fruit, you're ashamed of this work. You shouldn't be ashamed of your souls receiving salvation ultimately in that day. Right. So this is Mark 8:34. And when he had called the people unto him with his disciples also, he said unto them, whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whosoever shall save his life shall lose it. Right? So whoever isn't willing to let that old man go, to stop thinking he knows what's best for himself when we are given clear instructions on what we should do, how we should do it, what to wear, what to eat, what we should be found doing in that day, right? We will lose our life. We read earlier that we should be doing everything we possibly can to inherit that everlasting life through our means of the best of your ability, right? So it's the opposite of what your flesh wants to do. Back to that verse, right? It says, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and for the gospel's, the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man? What are you going to gain if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my works in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him also shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he cometh in the glory of his Father with his holy angels. Right? So if you're ashamed of being a follower of Christ, ashamed of being a refiner, ashamed of going out there and teaching out there on these streets, right? If you're ashamed of your family seeing what you do, your friends seeing what you do, your girl that you're thinking about talking to is being ashamed of what you do, and you don't really want to tell her what you're out here doing, right? If you're scared of being associated with Yahweh Shai, right? He says in that day, he's going to be ashamed of you, right? So don't be scared to push this message. Again, same topic, to the best of your ability, right? So this is John 15:12. This is my commandment, that ye love one another as I have loved you. Greater love hath no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Right. And as I was saying earlier, dying to me, honestly, like when we had a certain situation and the brother told me, you know what, it was just a reaction. I had to jump in for you. Right. Dying for somebody in some cases, for certain people, especially the way we grew up, is easy. I'm not going to think about putting my life before my brother's life, before my wife's life, before my kid's life. Is something that's easy. Like I remember before the truth, in finding out, look, some of us are going to have to die for the Bible's sake and for God. You know, they're sending guillotines now to the Americas. I was like, bro, if all I got to do is get my head chopped off and I'm good, go ahead and do it, right? But like I said, it's acting in the spirit and going the opposite of the flesh, right? To go out in the front line for your loved ones. Like, okay, I can die for you, but like I said, when my brother needs a ride, damn, I got to think about it. Do I really want to spend 20 minutes and go out the way? Do I really want to give this brother $10 when I could go do something else with it. That's a different kind of love. That's love that is testing you. How much do I really love this brother for this time, for this money, right? There's different ways of showing brothers love. And to me, honestly, dying for somebody can be an easy thing, right? So it says the hard part is showing love to each other when you gain nothing from it, when you lose everything, right? And what do I mean by that? You're putting all your effort into the elect of God, right? You're running, each one of us is running towards trying to be the 144,000, but we all forgot one main thing. It's only 144,000, right? That brother next to you, maybe not even me, will ever even get a chance to be that 144,000, right? And I'm hoping, I remember when I came into this truth, there was a lot of brothers that said hopeful elect on their name. We're all hoping to be that 144,000, right? So this is a survey I found in 2022, 3 years ago. Lifeway Research studied indicated that 1.6 million people in the US identify as Hebrew Israelites, with an even larger number, around 7.8 million, agreeing with the movement's key teachings, right? Whether you want to believe it or not, we are all in the competition. Every single person on this phone call, every single person looking at this video is in a competition for one of those seats, right? The man you're standing in line with should be working his ass off to be of that number. This is now a game of souls, right? The ultimate test to see who wants it more, right? And believe me, if in the world I was competitive, now it's even more, right? Philippians 2:12, wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed, not as in my presence only, but now much more in my absence, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You are, for the most part, you are on your own in this walk if you want that salvation or not, right? If you want to be that elect or not, right? 1 Corinthians 9:22, to the weak became I as weak, that I might gain the weak. I am made all things to all men, that I might by all means save some, right? And we can go out there to try to help our people, to influence our people to do this, but ultimately it's up to them, right? You do the best you can to gain those fruits, to multiply those talents for Christ when he returns, right? Verse 23 of 1 Corinthians 9, it says, and this I do for the gospel's sake, that I might be a partaker thereof with you, right? I want to be joyful in that day with my brothers, man, with the people that I labor with, right? Verse 24, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, right? We're all running for this race. We all want that 144,000, and it's not just 144,000, it's only 12,000 from each tribe, right? But one receiveth the prize. So run. So even tying it back now, that makes it even more competitive. It's not just 144,000, it's 12,000 seats there, right? It says, so run that you may obtain, and every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, right? These people run a race to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible, right? I therefore so run, not as uncertainty, right? Not something that I don't know what I'm doing, right? It says, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air. You're fighting, not just swinging the air. You're not just running. You know where you're going. You know what you're fighting for. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, Salakia, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I should be a castaway. So ultimately, in that day, you're trying to do the best you can so that you are not that person who's found with that field that has nothing, right? You're doing this as somebody who wants to win, somebody who's competitive, right? I'm not going to let nobody outplay me when it comes to my soul, right? This is how every single one of you should be looking at this, right? I study, I make sure I apply what I study. I make sure um, I'm examining myself in this walk to make sure I'm doing the best that I can, right? The best of your ability. But this is the difference here, right? Of course, it's a competition, right? Matthew 15:13, greater love hath no man than this, that a man laid down his life for his friends, right? So I love my brothers. I love every single one of you guys enough that I will help push you to beat me, right? This is the way that you should be looking at one another, right? I love my brothers enough that if they're doing the most they can to shine and I can make that even brighter, I'm gonna help you, right? Even if it means I'm not of that number. That's the way you got to look at this, man, right? The man that is willing to lay down his life for his friends, there's no greater life than that, right? There's no greater love than that, Salakia, right? If our goal is to wake up the elect, that's the goal. That's everything, right? Even if it's not me, right? Love your brother enough that if you're the 143,999 and he's wanting to go out his way and do the most he can, right? The good sportsman in you should be wanting to pick up your brother that's trying to go and almost at the finish line, and you go help that man to get to that finish line, right? That's what a real brother will do in that day, right? You're not being selfish in that day, right? And this is tying it back into each one of us helping each other out in that way, right? One brother does a video, and I'm going to bring it back to something that can be so simple. Each one of you should understand, look, this brother wants to do this work. I'm going to help push this man. I don't care if it's not me, right? Most of these videos that we're putting out isn't me, it's y'all, right? I want to see all my brothers shine. I want you guys to all have that same motivation for when it's your video, when it's the brother next to you's video, right? And ultimately in these teachings that we have, everybody should be wanting to help each other boast these lessons that we bring out to people on the street. Look, brother, that was a great point that you brought out. Here's a precept to help elevate your status in this conversation with this brother that you're trying to reach, right? This is Sirach 43 and 30. When ye glorify the Lord, exalt him as much as you can, for even yet will he far exceed. And when ye exalt him, put forth all your strength and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough. Right? I'm a brother enough that when I see my brother want it, I'm gonna help that man get it. You know what I mean? Even if it doesn't benefit you, that's the way I really want everybody to look at this. That's what I'm saying. If my brother needs a ride, of course it's not gonna do anything for me, but ultimately this is this man's sanity. You guys all understand how heavy this life can be when you feel like you have nobody there, right? I don't want anybody on here to feel that I'm only your brother on Friday and Saturdays, right? As much as I want to go and do my own things, when a brother needs me, the brother needs me, and the brother's gonna make that phone call and say, "Damn, I'm gonna put my pride aside and reach out." You need to be a man enough to understand that, bro. We're all we got in this, man, right? And a brother reaching out for you is a cry for help, is a cry for, bro, help me, right? Philippians 2 and 2 in the GNT. I urge you then to make me completely happy by having the same thoughts, sharing the same love, and being one in soul and mind, right? This body, this army can only work if we all want that goal, right? But it can only be useful if we're all wanting it the same, right? If one person's like, for example, you have go back to the analogy with the cars, you have three tires that are good and you have one tire that's all messed up, all bubbled up. You can't drive nowhere. You can't get nowhere quick enough because you have that one tire that doesn't want it as bad as you, right? That one brother that's holding you back. And what do? You either change that tire. Well, that's basically what you can do. You change that tire. You make that man renew his mind to look, bro. You better lock in, or there's somebody else that's gonna take that spot from you, because that's literally what's gonna happen, right? Philippians 2 and 3. Don't do anything from selfish ambition or from a cheap desire to boast, but be humble towards one another, always considering others better than yourselves, and look out for one another's interests, not just for your own, right? Like I said, this is all a race. Of course, I wanna finish, right? But every single one of you, brothers, should want to get that elect seat as well, right? And I'm not just looking out for my interests, it's for y'all's. I want you guys there, right? If my brother's putting that work in and he sowed that seed, I'm gonna help water for him, right? I'm gonna help see him win. I want him to be of that number, right? Ecclesiastes 4 and 9. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe unto him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, they can have heat, but how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken, right? So that, of course, there's strength in numbers, and you should be able to see the strength in numbers, not just the people who are willing to do it, not just the dude that's coming to camp on Fridays, only on Saturdays. You know what I mean? Not just the dude that's standing on post, not just the dude on cameras. Every single one of you guys should be wanting to do more, should be wanting to excel even further in this, because, bro, there's 12,000 people fighting for that seat that you want. right? The more we help each other out, the more we have each other's back and help push each other, the easier this walk is, first off, but the better the results, right? The more talents, the more fruits, the more things that we are able to flip from what Christ left us to do, right? And because I love the Lord with all my strength, to the best of my ability, even if it means you lose your life, to show your brother you love him by helping him secure that spot, that's loving to the best of your ability. When it means that look, bro, you lost your chance because this brother outshined you, right? But you laid down your life for that brother to get there. That's true love, right? That's seeking the elect, doing everything for the elect's sake, right? And ultimately, it's more than likely that you will hear in that day, right? Well done, thou good and faithful servant, right? And that's ultimately what every single one of you brothers should be wanting, right? And that's the only reason we're in this walk, to wake up the elect, right? And that's basically all I had, brothers, right? Um, I don't know, anybody got questions, feedback, whatever on that. I don't know if brother is able to even come off mute, Lawaz.
Yeah, and I mean, do you want me to keep recording?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah, let me see if I can take these guys off me. Man, that was solid, bro. That was really good.
I
The
want to say
water for
that.
that, brother. Oh, you guys are good. You guys can take yourself off.
Yeah, we can take ourselves off.
Okay.
I can. But yeah, but that was fire. And then that's crazy because that number was really crazy, bro. And that was back then, if I believe correct, 2023, where there was 1.6 million people identifying as Hebrew Israelites. Bro, there's only 12,000 chairs, as the brother Kashab was saying, bro, from each tribe, bro. You know how many Issacharites are trying to get to that chair? How many Judites? How many from all of our tribes? That's crazy to put it in that perspective, bro. That's how much more we got to lock in.
That was 2022. So it's 3 years of brothers hearing this message, bro. That much more people are trying to be competitive over this.
So I got a question.
Of course.
The 144,000, that's the elite, right? That's not just everybody who's, I mean, they're going to be the judges, right? They're like going to be the judges. They're still going to be, I mean, although there's not going to be the elite, there's still going to be more to make it? Or no, that's it?
That's in the wilderness, bro. The people who make it out, the 1/3,
Uh-huh.
that's in the wilderness. That's still separate than from just America. The 1/3 isn't coming out of America. The 1/3 is in the wilderness. So that's what I'm saying. This is even that much tighter uh competition, bro. People don't. And this is something that people don't look at it as. This is a bro. You either give it all you got or you're done. You're gonna have to taste death in that day, and there's gonna be a lot of people that happens to, and even that much more people that are gonna die in the wilderness from that. Because 144 are gathering everybody in the wilderness to bring them there, right? And even then, only 2/3. You can get put on a chariot, make it to the wilderness, and still die.
Jeez.
Yaltazak, you have some?
No, I was just going to mention and add on to that that in Isaiah it even says that the slain of the Lord is it's going to be a lot.
Yeah, bro. And that's ultimately what I was trying to go into. Like, it's showing people, look, you got to give it all you got, right? And ultimately, it's you showing love to your brother that's gonna help make it in that day, and not just love or whatever it says, to the best of your ability, right? And I think that's probably the coldest thing when you really look at it like that, like how Christ said, of course he's willing to die for you, but it's a lot different when it's like, okay, I'm willing to die for my brother because something's happening right now, or I'm in a situation where, damn, I gotta save this brother now. It's a lot different when it's like, look, this brother wants it more than me, and I want to help that brother get it to that point and stop being selfish, right? As, no, I'm only gonna do it when it benefits me, right? That's the worst way to go about anything. It should be, the thing that means more is when it doesn't mean anything to you, when you have nothing to gain from helping your brother, that he has everything to gain, and you being like, damn, you know what? I love this brother enough that I'm willing to do that for him, right? And even then, I guess I'll say it on here because I'll probably clip that first part to finish the lesson. But I was even talking about this with my rib, right, on Sunday. I was telling her like, look, I was giving her the gist of basically what this lesson is going to be on, right? And I'm like, oh, this is how I'm thinking about going about it, whatever. And we were talking about polygyny, right? And I'm like, look, each one of these brothers on here, Lord willing, right, is brought up in a way to be a leader, right? In the hopes of one day maybe if everything don't end soon, we're able to expound and grow in the Bay. You know what I mean? Have different camps on different days. I mean on Fridays and Saturdays, different locations is what I meant, right? If I'm looking at every single one of these brothers to be a leader, and your guys' ribs understand, look, my man knows a lot. He's a great leader, but I only want men to listen to him because when a woman comes and she wants to learn from him, I don't know how I feel about that. That's selfish as hell, right? You should want your sister to understand, look, this man I can trust. I know he wants what's best for me, and I should want you to understand from him. I should want him to be able to lead you too in that way, right? And my rib was like, you know what? I haven't even looked at it like that before. She's like, I can see how that would make me selfish and not loving my own sisters in that way, right? Because this goes both ways, man. This is for this is the way that God entrusted us to be, right? This is how Christ told us this is how we should walk, right? We should love one another. That's the message we heard from the very beginning. That's how the Most High wanted it to be, and Christ showed us how to do that, right? So the same way how each one of you brothers can help secure each one's seat, the same way the sisters can look at this and be like, damn, I don't love my sister enough because I don't want her to succeed or I don't want her to be as prosperous as me. She got to go figure it out somewhere else. Like, that's not a way to look at it. What y'all brothers think, man?
Oh no, but yeah, man, it's powerful. Like even myself, I been like when I used to cut Brother Tizak's hair, he used to tell me like, nigga, yeah, like nigga, your seed ain't even sealed. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta pay attention, be diligent. Like this ain't just ain't about a brotherhood. This is about really sealing your spot and doing the work. And I was even at work today through the Spirit in Matthew 10 and 26, as far as like, and I was looking at it in the NLT. It says this is Matthew 10:26, but it says, but don't be afraid of those who threaten you, like we're doing this work, and they're gonna be scoffers. For the time is coming when everything is covered will be revealed, and all that is secret will be made known. So all this truth that we're talking about, there's people who are not gonna like what we're saying, but who gives a damn? You know what I'm saying? And it goes kind of to what you were saying when I was riding my bike about if you're scared of doing this work, because I came into this and kind of still like, my family, they still be tripping, but I mean, I'm not timid off telling them. It's just I have brothers around me, wise brothers, that's like, man, you got to work on your own shit. You got to work on your own salvation, like how you said earlier too.
Yeah, bro. That's why it says it.
And
That day he's gonna be ashamed of you if you're ashamed of him. That's a scary thing to know.
right, right. And then it also, like, I was reading, and I think it's Ephesians 4, where it talks about like not worrying about the world.
Mm.
Like based on like us doing this word that was left behind, through Christ being that example. I think it's in Ephesians 4, and I want to say it's like starting at 11. I don't know if I kind of want to read it.
Go ahead, brother.
It's Ephesians 4:11. It says, "Now these," and I'm reading it in the NLT. Says, "Now these are the gifts Christ gave to the church: the apostles, the prophets, and the evangelists, and the pastors and the teachers." It says their responsibility is to equip God's people to do his work and build up the church, the body of Christ. This will continue until we all continue, Salakia, this will continue until all come to such unity in our faith and knowledge of God's Son that we will be mature in the Lord, measuring up to the full and the complete standard of Christ. Then we will no longer be immature like children. We won't toss and blow and blown about by every wind of new teaching. We will not be influenced when people try to trick us with lies so clever they sound like the truth. So basically, in short, saying that everything that we're doing, don't worry about what's happening around you. Focus on the mission and just continue to keep doing the work.
Oh, and I'll close out. So with that, call thought with us like I will by showing my shot. Shalom.